So, I was starting to write my script about Diablo 4's endgame in Season 7, and how it's hot garbage, which made me think of a previous video I did about how terrible Path of Exile 2's endgame is, which then went into a snowball effect of recalling various videos I've done and conversations I've had on my live streams about the atrocious state of endgame in MMOs as well, such as Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft over the years, and my brain came to a screeching halt, just asking me,
"What the hell are you doing?"
And it dawned on me that the reasons the vast majority of games these days, regardless of genre, MMORPG, ARPG, etc., have terrible endgames, are the exact same reasons. So let's just do the drop and then get into it. God, why do these games suck such fucking dick?
I am Razio.
Now, before I start, I want to preface this video by saying that we need to remember that the concept of endgame is relatively new in gaming. In the 90s and early 2000s, this didn't really exist. Games were made with a beginning, middle, and an end, and everyone seemed okay with that. The exception being, of course, MMORPGs, which I'll go into in a little bit. I just wanted to state that, okay? So you keep it in your mind. Now let's get on with it then. I'm not going to waste your time or babble on in this video, or I'm going to keep it to a minimum. I'm just going to go right to the point. There are two major reasons games end up sucking more phallic than a young Hollywood actress looking to hit the big time, and they are as follows. Reason 1. Nearly every game requiring an always online connection. This has forcefully shifted the focus of what these games are supposed to be while attempting to become kind of pseudo MMORPGs when they clearly don't fit that definition, while simultaneously trying to use a single player model in their multiplayer games, creating a hybrid that really ends up being neither. You guys remember Diablo 1, Diablo 2? These games had online as an option, as Battle.net was already a thing for both of these games, but it having online functionality was not forced and was far from the game's focus. These games were designed around their single-player narrative, systems, and gameplay. They were single-player games with an option for co-op if you so chose, but the trend over the last decade or so of making nearly every game fully online has changed the way games are made. They aren't made with the focus of a standalone product with online features, but focus instead on the fact that shit needs to be always connected online, and then as a byproduct, everything you do must be fair to everyone else who is online playing the same game. Even though they aren't in your actual fucking game instance, we're just even seeing the reverse of this bleed into the MMORPG genre, where now we are seeing MMOs that are in the genre by name only, as they have become homogenized, mostly single-player experiences with co-op. For example, Final Fantasy XIV. When they're supposed to be social open world games in their own niche genre. This all leads to my second major reason that ties everything together. This model largely forces developers to be the primary artisans of all players' content and experiences, which is impossible to accomplish. They're shooting themselves point blank in the dick. Let me explain this further so nothing gets lost in translation here. In the past, the biggest things that gave games longevity was the content that the players themselves created, and has far less to do with the content that developers actually make for the game. And I'll give you some examples. Remember how I mentioned Diablo 2? Well, Diablo 2 had zero endgame provided by the developer in the way that we expect endgame to exist in games today. Yet even now, there are a ton of people still playing that game and have for the last 2 decades. The only thing that Blizzard themselves put into Diablo 2 that can be considered a form of endgame was the ladder system. I mean, outside of that, everything about the endgame of Diablo 2 was created by the culture and the players playing the game. Diablo 2 offered playing the story over and over again on increasingly hard difficulties, which forced better builds and players figuring out what were the best farming methods, etc. There were no end game specific activities designed by the developers to do once you hit max level. In fact, hitting max level in Diablo 2 rarely happened. But regardless of that fact, players kept playing and making communities for it, and for, as I said, 2 decades. If you need some more examples, all right. Take a look at old school MMOs like Assurance Call, EverQuest, Final Fantasy XI, Dark Age of Camelot, Ultima Online, etc., where the game started at level 1, and hitting level cap was just a novelty, not where the game began. These games thrived off the experiences that players made with each other, the interactions with, guild wars, faction feuds, player tensions, and alliances. I mean, shit, even vanilla WoW was this way, which is why it's not surprising to me that classic WoW seems to be more popular than retail these days. And while WoW was the game that introduced level cap focused content in the MMO genre, it didn't trivialize or negate the content you did to get there, or let you skip it. It was just as, if not more important than what was at cap. I mean, remember Torren Mill versus South Shore? I mean, completely organic. Look at games in other genres, like Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto 5. COD sells like hotcakes every year because players want to engage in the multiplayer. Why? Because every match is going to be different than the last because you're playing with other people, and other people aren't 100% predictable. Nobody has given 2 shits about COD's single-player campaign for a long time, and the developers know it. But as long as the multiplayer is like what it has been, people will keep buying it, even though it's stocked full of shitty microtransactions. In Grand Theft Auto 5, an old game at this point, the player base still thrives because of the open world and the content that the interaction with the other players in said world organically creates, and not because of any actual developed content the developers put out. My point is this. I don't care how advanced AI gets or how many developers a company hires. It is my belief that it is simply impossible for any game to produce actual physical content that lasts long enough to keep players satisfied. Player-driven social content in online games is the only thing that will keep players engaged, and no amount of seasons or overpriced microtransaction bullshit will ever hold players' engagement for as long as the game developers or shareholders want it to. Not every game belongs fully online. Not every game is an MMO, and there are countless games that are hamstrung by trying to be something they're not. It's okay for single-player games to stay single-player with maybe a little optional co-op and let MMOs be MMOs. This new hybrid we're seeing, where every game is designed to blast through the shallow, stupid leveling process to get to the real game, i.e. the end game, as fast as possible, is destroying not only online games, but it's also butt-fucking the games that are better off as single-player experiences, like a crazed meth head behind a gentleman's club in Las Vegas.
That's really fucked up.
Games that are heavily focused on narrative, for example, should have no need for always online functionality. All players need to make a never-ending stream of content and something to do is a game world designed in such a way that it sets the stage for it to happen. If a game is always online, it can't really be a single-player game by design because it ends up forcing restrictions on you in the name of fairness to others and selling you shit in an online store that should just be a reward in the actual game. Single-player, deep story, you are the hero-driven games need to have a beginning, middle, and an end, in my opinion, and that's okay. If something is always online, it should be open world, and the main source of its content needs to be what players create between each other and themselves because of the freedom the game gives you to do so. Now, I'm not saying that the devs can completely wash their hands of providing things to do at level cap like dungeons and raids and other such things, but as I said earlier, it's impossible for that to be the main and only source. It simply does not last, and it's blurring the line that always online has created between all genres and has, in my opinion, poisoned the well and made every genre kind of samey and something that doesn't fully serve as a single-player experience or a true MMO experience. They're just watered down hybrids that quickly become boring microtransaction casinos that everyone, myself especially, is growing sick and fucking tired of. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts and feelings. So needless to say, a Diablo 4 endgame sucks video will not come out because it's a fact most people already know, and I felt this video served what I wanted to get across better. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for all the support over the last few weeks, months, and if you like my content, please like it and share it. If you don't like it, thumbs down, tell me to fuck myself, kill myself, whatever. I hear it all. It's fine. Doesn't faze me. But guys, I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and on YouTube as well at the same time, simultaneously, so pick your poison. And that's at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Hope to see you there. Shoot the shit, talk, whatever. We're in the golden age now, boys and girls. But everybody, take care of yourselves, comments down below, and as always, my friends, keep it real.
Like this? Yeah!